So here I was, just off camera, mindlessly playing the end of the season, thinking, well, mid-table, the board will be fine with that. And then we lost to bloody Corn, 2-0, and in my inbox, I received an item. I've not yet clicked on that item. It looks rather ominous. Season 1 is officially over. It was going to be a transfer special. It might still be a transfer special, but first, I've got to plead for my job. Yes, folks, how is it going? Welcome back to Rugby Town. Today is episode number 5. It's the end of season 1, and this is not what I expected to come back for. Brian has asked to discuss my future regarding the position at the club. My performance apparently hasn't been good enough, and my position's under serious threat. The manager performance is a C. Am I right thinking that's a bit harsh? Now, granted, last episode we did lose 3-2 to the team who were top, and since then I haven't won a game in the last 3 games. A 3-3 draw, a 4-5 defeat, a 2-0 defeat. I'll admit it, those results could have been better, but with a media prediction of 12th to finish 13th, I mean, it's hardly bloody disastrous, is it? I've worked within the wage budget. I mean, have I grown the club's reputation? Look, we're doing the YouTube documentary. That's how I'm supplementing my £200 a week to afford food. So I think the reputation's going up. Yeah, the aim was obviously a top half finish. I have failed that. I'll admit it. I did fail that. Okay, apparently if I refuse to attend this meeting, I will have my job lost. So with that in mind, we will click the attend button and hope I'm not going to be fired. We're not happy with your current performance. We're considering your position at the club. We would like to know why you think the team have performed so badly. Well, we can't defend. I haven't been in the management game that long, so I'd appreciate some patience. It's been hard fixtures. I'm going to tell them to ignore the form. I actually think we have played quite well. Ignore the form. We've played well. We recognise that with the form table, it doesn't always show how well a team is playing, so we're prepared to give you the benefit of the doubt, but we'll be keeping a close eye and hope things improve. That doesn't mean I've still got my job, right? Right? Right. Okay, well, I'm calm now, for now. I think it goes without saying this tactical system hasn't really worked, but we've got a summer to try and fix the mess. I will say, in my defence, just now that we're officially at the end of the season, we did score the second most goals in the league, 72. I will also admit, we did also concede 72 goals, but, that's perfectly balanced. Yeah, defensively we need to be better. This episode is going to be a lot of work towards that, I hope. Now, first things first, I do want to mash continue a little bit here and get to the end of season kind of wrap-up screen. You know, where it shows all your achievements and looks at transfers and stuff. Worth noting, I have got players who are going to be leaving the club. Players like Edwin. With respect to Edwin, I won't be giving him a new contract. So there are teams sniffing around. Whilst I'm here, it might actually be worth just having a quick sort out the first team. Matt Hill here, not going to be around next year. We will set him for release. And in fact, there's a few other players here that we should probably be setting for release. Not necessarily bad players, and a lot of them are players who play for rugby in real life. Players like Carl Burke here, not a bad player at all, just not worth £75 a week. Same with Luke English, not a bad player, but £100 a week for this guy. If we compare him with Wakaz Azam, who's on, well, significantly less than that, it's obvious why Luke English just isn't worth the money. And in fact, on the Wakaz Azam stuff, I've actually already negotiated with Cliff Rowe to sign him permanently. I think he's agreed to join us for like £50 a week. He is currently on £100 a week, so clearly he really liked his time at this club, and you know what, for £50 a week, I'll keep him around. Players like Jordan Wilson as well, not a bad player at all, but just not a £100 a week player. I think I'm going to set him for release. Similarly with Rosser here, extended his contract the vice-captain a little bit, but he's just not been near the first team since I took over. So set for release, and in fact, to get all these players out of sight, I'm going to demote them all to the youth team, just so they vanish. So this is what the first team now looks like with all those players demoted. I've just stuck them in the under-21s. Their contracts, by the way, all do run out at the end of the year. Have just noticed, actually, Lewis Williams, who was probably the third best player in our youth intake, probably could promote him, actually, and just make him third choice goalkeeper. Yeah, you know what, Lewis? Come to the first team, mate. But the rest of this under-21s team, alongside some of the players still on trial and some of the players I've signed permanently, is basically a graveyard of former footballers who I won't be keeping around beyond this summer. Now, of course, last episode, we did get 2 really good players for our youth intake in Sam Kelly and Miles Maycock. I think they could be the solution to the centre-mid conundrum that I've had. I've got an idea for how I might play next year with them. I've kind of blocked out here a rough starting 11. As I already mentioned, the back three with the wing backs further up the pitch, it just doesn't seem to work at the lower levels. It's not been effective. We've been conceding a lot of goals as a result of it. And with two really good centre mids in our rank, it feels like a pretty good time now to perhaps evolve the system from this, where, let's be honest, we were creating a lot. And well, to try and do something maybe a little bit more like this. Something where Maycock and Kelly can work alongside each other. We can retain the front three, but just go to a slightly more conventional defensive setup. I'm not sure if Dutton and Azam will be wing-backs on attack. They could be full-backs on attack. These two guys, to be fair, not bad at all by any means as more offensive full-back options. Just feel like wing-backs haven't really worked this year. I suppose the question is positioning them further back, is that going to solve the issue, or is it the role that's a problem? You know what? We've got the whole of pre-season to think about that. Now, it's worth noting, with all those players I've just set for release, our committed wage spend is £1,400. Our wage budget, which could obviously change at the end of the year, is £2,300. So we have actually got a little bit of money to really add a bit more quality and a bit more depth to this squad. I don't think star ratings are the be-all or end-all, but when you look at it, I think getting in someone to replace current assistant manager / centre-back / all-round good guy, Liam Francis, probably is a wise idea. Maybe someone who, unlike Jake, can actually run and does know how to position themselves. That probably would be wise. I mean, from a goal-scoring point of view, I don't really have any concerns. Rio, in the end, picked up 11 goals for the season. He was our joint top goal scorer alongside David, who I think is a more than adequate backup striking option for us at this level. He's actually just signed a new deal where he's gone down from, I think it was either £100 or £90 a week down to £65 a week, which is great. Thinking about it with Cartwright here, he's on £40 a week. Can I extend Cartwright's deal? Do you want to sign a new deal if at the end of the year I want to keep you around? Do you want to stay around a little bit? Currently paying him £40 a week. He now wants £45 to play for 3 more years. He wants a promotional wage rise. I'm going to be a bit cheeky here because I feel like we will be going for promotion during the run of his contract. So let's just try something else. How about optional 3-year extension and a 3-year deal, £50? You know what, Jake? Me and you, we're going to get on really, really well. I can already tell. This man's going to be my centre-back for years to come. The more I look at this system, the more I like it. I feel like I've now done the initial housekeeping. I've managed to get rid of all the players who will be leaving us, move them over to the under-21s to just forget about them. The wage budget is freed up. Get me on to the end of the season. The board want to hold a new meeting. Sorry, I've hit continue once and they want to talk to me again. The board want to hold a new meeting. We talked like 2 days ago. Are you okay? 2 days ago we had this chat. Wish me luck. Brian, mate. Brian, I'm getting deja vu here. We're not happy with your current performance, and considering your position at the club, I think it looks worse than it is. I'm going to go with that. Worked last time. Unfortunately, we need to see tangible proof of that on the table, and that hasn't been the case. I can threaten to resign. That would be on brand for me. Tell me, what do I need to do to save my job? We'll allow you more time, but we need 10 points in the next 5 games. I can do that. I won't let you down. I probably should have negotiated a lower points total. 10 points from the first 5 games. Is that going to be of next season? I've never done this meeting at the end of the season before in all my years playing Football Manager. I have 5 games to get 10 points. I mean, I've got to have the greatest summer transfer window of all transfer windows now, haven't I? Okay, and then everything just acts like it's normal. How am I meant to send the players on the end of season break after what's just happened there? I think this is the first time in Park to Prem history where my job security has been very insecure. I've made the promise of 10 points in 5 games. I don't even know who we're going to be playing in our first 5 games of the year. We finished 13th last season. Or this season. Am I right to be really confused, concerned, and slightly scared? Because that's how I feel right now. Oh, the board want to discuss the vision again. They want a top half finish next year. I'll just accept it. You know what? Top half next year, that does feel more than fair. This was meant to be the nice, chilled out transfer special. You know, not too much pressure, achieving our goals. You know what? Fair enough. I did promise a mid-table finish, but I don't feel like 13th is that disastrous. Like, at the end of the day, we were 4 points away from our target, and we were 9 points ahead of the drop. Just all feels very harsh. If there is one small reason for optimism, our media prediction was 12th this year. The actual media prediction on the overview screen updates as the season goes on. Our media prediction here at the end of the year is 4th place. So of the teams currently in the division, we are the 4th best, apparently. I mean, McAvoy here does actually appear in the media Dream 11 as well. So as much as things might feel slightly doom and gloom, it's hardly mission impossible. I'm better looking than Tom Cruise, so I think I've got this in the bag, he says. You know what? At least Jake signed a new contract. Jake is an absolute sweetheart. You know, I know he's got loads of jumping reach and he's a bit aggressive, but he is the kind of guy who bakes brownies with his granny still. You know, he's got that energy about him. Lovely lad. Okay, we have got our end of season review. These end of season reviews are always a little bit funky when you've joined halfway through the season. Of course, just as a reminder, we did join in November. Signing of the season, Rio, 11 goals, 6 assists. Not bad for a player who only started 15 games this year. Have to imagine if he'd been at the club all year round, he would have been competing for top goal scorer in the entire league. Top goal scorer in the end did get 21 goals, but you can see here, Rio did get the highest average rating, and in fact, not far behind, Jake got the 3rd highest rating from centre-back, which when you consider the amount of goals we concede, it's kind of a miracle his rating was that good. But to his credit, he did get 9 goals from centre-back in 14 games. I still find it mad that after the start the club had and how much we did turn things around. Let's be honest, there is more green here at this point when I was in charge than at any other point. I ended up on a C- and we've just had the meeting that we've had. Of course, all these other competitions, I wasn't manager when we played in them. I will say the finances have been pretty good at the club. Often with the finances at lower league levels, you kind of see the clubs in massive, massive debt and just hemorrhaging money. The club balance here at Rugby is actually remarkably balanced, which is quite nice. It might lead to our wage budget being made slightly bigger as we go on year, if indeed we do last that long. Here is the best 11 for the year. I'll be honest, it's an absolute mess of players from different eras. If you're wondering, Jack, how did Dan Summerfield do after he left the club? He's been pretty goddamn awful for North Ferriby. Considering we were paying him £300 a week, I feel like bullet dodged. Fans Player of the Year did go to David Kolodinsky. I know he's a bit of a club legend in real life, so he's still been shown the respect there, despite the fact he got a 6.9 rating. Can't help but believe there was a bit of corruption involved in him getting Fans Player of the Year. Elsewhere, McAvoy got the Young Player of the Year. He was the signing of the year as well. And yeah, David just won everything else. Most goals, most assists, most player of the matches. He's quite good at football. The City of Liverpool have offered to sign Kyle Burke. That is a football club called the City of Liverpool. It's not like the council at Liverpool are just looking to buy Kyle Burke. I have him marked to leave the club at the end of his contract anyway, so we might as well just get rid of him now. Now, you might have noticed when I was showing the under-21s, there are some players in our youth intake that I'm not signing. These guys, don't get me wrong, they're not terrible players by any means, but ultimately, if I sign all these youth players, even if it's on non-contracts on £5 a week, it all does add up quite quickly. You know, all of a sudden, you have a youth team of, 20 players. That can be eating up kind of 10% of your wage budget, which at this level where our under-21s literally do not play in any competitions, is absolutely pointless. I have been planning out the starting 11 a little bit for this coming year. Striker-wise, I'm pretty happy. I wouldn't mind getting in a bit more depth because at the moment, David is pretty much our only plan B striker. At centre mid, I think Maycock and Kelly can start the year. These are 2 guys, obviously came through the academy, do look absolutely superb. We've already got players like Ethan Hilton who can step up in that area, although maybe another centre mid, kind of a 4th one, would be ideal. Of course, for a lot of this year, Roger Lee was our more defensively minded midfielder. Not a bad player by any means, but at 32 years old, I do feel like we could do better. So that's one of the kind of areas of the pitch I've got earmarked. The other area I've got is the right centre-back position. Of course, we've got Cartwright in at centre-back. Need someone alongside him. Throughout this year with the 3 at the back system, we've had players like Liam Francis, who we've tried out, Bayeke, who we've tried out. Who else have we tried out? There's all kinds of players we've slotted in, isn't there? But basically, none of them have really stepped up. Regan Mendes, another one. Probably a pretty okay backup player, these centre-backs I'm showing. But in terms of, for a starting defender going into the new campaign, I feel like trying to find someone who's complementary to Jake, someone who's a bit quicker, can maybe read the game a little bit better, would almost certainly be in our interest. I mean, naturally, besides that, a lot of it is just going to be about getting versatility and depth. We're a little bit light on centre-mid options. Centre-back, we've got plenty of options. At wing-back, maybe need one right back, one left back. And then striking wise, at the moment, we do only have kind of 2 backup strikers, David and then Rico Taylor, who is still here for another year. There's part of me that feels like he shouldn't be in the first team next year, and if I can sell him in the summer after I've got other players in, I probably should. So yeah, backup right back, backup left back, defensive mid, centre mid, 2 backup strikers. There's a bit of a shopping list there. I think I counted that incorrectly, but we'll figure it out as we go. I've just been having a little look through all the strikers that we've kind of currently got scout reports on. One thing to note is that scout reports have been coming in during the time I've been at the club. And the issue I've got is, you might have noticed, a lot of the newer players at the team are all the really highly rated players. So as a result of that, scout reports that maybe had players as 5-star ability that were made 6 months ago, those players are probably not actually as good as some of our 5-star ability players now in the team, because the kind of overall quality of the squad has changed a bit. So really, I have got to review these players myself. Now, you might have noticed a little bit of a time jump in the top corner of this video. It's the 18th of May. Jack, why have you gone forward 10 days and nothing's happened? I'll tell you why. Houston, I've got uno problemo, and it's a rather big problemo. The board have decided that I'm only allowed to sign players on non-contracts. I don't know why. There was no inbox item. I don't know if this is down to how poorly we did this year. I don't think it's a financially led decision. But essentially, I can no longer sign players on actual full-time contracts. Instead, it's got to be pay-as-you-go deals. Archie Cooper here, who I was looking to maybe pick up from Hull and had on trial, you'll notice I can sign him as a centre-back option. I don't have the drop down here to switch between a part-time and non-kind of contract option. So any players I sign this year, I have no protection over, which maybe changes my approach slightly. Firstly, it makes me think, if this is going to be my starting 11 for the year and I want to get in a centre-back and defensive mid, it might be a way better decision to go and loan players. And if I am going to approach players to loan, I probably am going to have to wait for the season to tick over to next year, where all the AI kind of review their squads and their current players out on loan return to potentially then be loaned out again. The reason for obviously loaning players, I think, is obvious. I have protection over them. If there aren't good loan options, the plan B is that I sign players like we did Tyler Forbes, knowing full well at any point during the next year they could be stolen away from me. Neither of which is a particularly great option. The only thing that's given me a little bit of solace right now is knowing that I have got the core of a fully contracted team here that I do think could do a good job this season. And if you were wondering, I have done a couple of tests just because I was worried this might be a database issue. If I get promoted out of this division, I will be able to offer players contracts for next season. So, yeah, we really, really need to get promoted out of the 9th tier this coming year. Otherwise, it could get very difficult this save game very quickly, as if there wasn't enough pressure on this upcoming season already. I was just looking at players who are available for loan. Right now, I have no scouting budget. It's not been set for the new season. So these are basically 78 players that I could possibly loan. Of these players, Harry Twitt looks like he could actually be an okay centre-back. He is a good option if we just compare him with Francis, who was our starting centre-back last year. Undoubtedly an upgrade. If I want to loan him, they want me to pay £190 a week. I need to find free loans where I don't have to pay any wages. Finding loans where I pay less than £100 a week, at least until the season ticks over, I think is going to be next to impossible. With that in mind, I think I'm going to join you in June when the season kind of ticks over into the new year. We can work out what our new media prediction is. Maybe the budgets get updated slightly because the finances are looking good. Maybe the scouting budget will be set so there'll be more than 70 players that show up. At this point, that sounds like a good idea to me. This whole episode has just been an absolute fustercluck, hasn't it? It's been mad. Do you feel like this might be a common trend? David Dormer, who was one of the backup left-back options who I signed from the youth intake, not a bad player. If we're really limited on signings, I could even promote him to the first team to be an option, although as a wing-back with one dribbling, it could be ill-advised. He's wanted by Taunton Town. Of course, Taunton, if you're wondering, in the Vanarama National South. I think they have just been relegated from the division, mind you. But nevertheless, we might start getting interest in our players. I imagine if I ask for £20,000, they're going to tell me to piss off. That is exactly what they've done. As I spam continue waiting for the scouting budget to get updated, there's a couple of players that keep popping up who are players who maybe I looked at during the season just gone, who I opted not to sign, perhaps because their demands were too big. Harvey Green here was a player who actually turned me down. He's a decent little centre mid option, not crazy current ability, but he's versatile. He can play both centre mid and defensive mid, which ticks 2 big boxes for us. Now, naturally, he is going to want one of these part-time deals. They're the only kind of offers I can offer to players. So for a player to be interested in moving to us, they don't want a wage. He wants £20 per appearance. Given the fact he's more likely to be a squad option, I'm going to offer him £40 a game. I feel like if I need to sign some squad players on these pay-as-you-go deals, it's probably not the worst idea in the world, especially because if they're not playing regular first-team football, whilst I run the risk of losing them, I'm not actually paying them any wage kind of game to game. They only get paid for the actual matches we play in, which, I mean, given our current financial predicament, isn't exactly essential, but if we want to save some money, it's not a bad way to go about, I suppose, approaching a few backups. It is painful looking through this scouted kind of list of players recommended, knowing that I could try and sign some of these players, but any of these players that I sign, I just run the risk of losing, and so I don't really want to get attached to them or become too dependent on them. But players like Burden here, I mean, he'd be a good depth centre mid option. Do I just sign these players knowing that they're good options? I mean, moving in for players sooner rather than later is wise. This guy is actually pretty good going forward with some good determination. What kind of money is he going to want? He wants £450 per appearance. We can offer up to £250 per appearance. Obviously, I set that soft wage cap at £100 per week for players. I don't want to be offering players more than probably £150 per appearance in appearance fee. And to offer that much, they need to be bloody brilliant. Okay, well, we've made a transfer. Harvey Green is joining us for £40 per appearance if/when he plays. I mean, it's an absolute bargain deal, especially compared to that other player that we tried to sign who wanted significantly more money. You know what? As far as centre mid options go, he's not that terrible. I'm actually wondering, how does he actually compare with Roger Lee? Well, if we compare Roger Lee with Harvey Green, I mean, Harvey Green is just a way better player. I might have inadvertently here found my defensive midfielder. Harvey, can you play defensive mid? I'll tell you what, he kind of can play defensive mid according to my staff. Do I agree with that assessment? I know some of you will look at the 4 strength and 5 aggression. For this level, he's bloody brilliant. He'll do a job, maybe. Of course, he'll do a job in the sense I can sign him. He may decide he doesn't want to do the job for me anymore months, weeks, days into the season and just join someone else. Has also just dawned on me, a lot of my current staff's contracts are running out at the current kind of end of season. How many of these guys I want to sign on for future years remains to be seen. For example, not sure I really need a loan manager. I'm paying £50 a week for a loan manager when I don't have players to send out on loan seems ill-advised. If I want to sign him, yeah, that's annoying. I can offer him a part-time deal. So the staff can be part-time. Everyone else wants a full-time job. Drinking Christopher Elliott here. You will never see him again. He will be fired when his contract's over. I'm not paying him month to month for a job role, which, I mean, I literally don't need. And if you were wondering, when it comes to current first-team players, I can't offer them part-time deals either. So as a result, I can't extend any of the current contracts of players at the club, which, when you look at players with contracts expiring at the end of the 2025 season, it is half the squad, which is a down note. The good news with some of these players, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know which players this is going to apply to. An example, I guess, is Callum here. Does have an optional contract after extension, and I think some others, a bit like, I guess, Jake Cartwright would be an example when his new deal kicks in. We have got the optional contract extension clauses on. So there are some players whose contracts I will be able to make longer. So that's a silver lining, kind of. Okay, new scouting budget for the year, 20,000 Great British pounds, and the budgets for the year, £3,600 wage budget, £6,000 transfer budget. I mean, now, hopefully, I can update the scouting range just for a day, I suppose. We'll put it on surrounding regions or surrounding divisions. And hopefully now there's more players available for loan. 155. The player who appears top of this list is Taylor McMahon. He plays for Stockport County. He's actually not a bad centre-back. Comparing him with Liam Francis here, not a massive world of difference, but I think he is definitely an improvement. And at 19 years old, you'd expect him to get better. They want me to pay £240 a week of his wages. Never mind, on to the next one. You might have noticed when I click on player profiles, all their attributes just show. I do play with attribute masking off during my Let's Plays. Naturally, with the pressure to get videos out every single day, I need to speed things up a little bit. If I wasn't playing with attribute masking on, I would probably just mass select and scout these players or try and offer them trials in the case of free agents in order to get a better judge of their ability. But yeah, I try and avoid, where possible, just filtering by attributes here. It does feel a little bit cheesy when you're playing with attribute masking off. But in terms of the YouTube Let's Plays, when I want to click on opposition players and show you how good they are, it'd also be kind of poo if they were just invisible and you couldn't see how good they are, especially if you've never managed down at these levels. Finley Coleman of Newport County, you are a centre-back, my friend. He's also not that great. You know what? For one day, I'm going to up my scouting range to UK and Ireland. We did have 42 players who are available, who are centre-backs available for loan and were realistic. We're now at 227. Connor Campbell here actually looks like a really good player. He plays for Rangers. He's on £30 a week, so he might be slightly cheaper as well. We'll use Liam Francis here as the measuring stick for all the players. I like the look of Connor Campbell here. I can't loan him till he turns 18, which is not until next April. Why show him in the list of players interested in loans? I feel like maybe getting to July 1st is the best idea here, because if there's players already out on loan that haven't had their loans officially end yet, they're not showing up in these lists when I'm looking for loan targets. Sam Kelly, one of the better players in our youth intake, has interest in him from Morecambe. Morecambe of League 2. I mean, that bodes well for his ability. Doesn't necessarily bode well for keeping hold of Sam Kelly. He's on a youth contract at the moment. I have already negotiated the fact that he will have an optional contract extension and I think also a contract extension after promotion. So he's locked in for the next 3 or 4 years. With that in mind, I'm just going to select an absurd amount of money, which I know Morecambe will turn down. Just have to hope he doesn't get unhappy about this kind of thing. It might be difficult to keep players like Kelly happy, and of course Miles Maycock. No interest in him yet, but I actually think he's slightly better than Kelly. So yeah, that's another cause for concern. The new season has officially come around and I can tell the board my expectations for the year. I think I'm just going to stick everything here. I obviously want to be fighting for playoff spots, even promotion this year. I suppose the question as to whether or not that's going to be realistic is going to be reflected in our, well, media prediction, which is 5th here, and also the season preview, which has us as high as 4th. You know what? Maybe we can go back up. Interesting to note that a team that were promoted last year in God Manchester Rovers, one of the favourites for promotion. Who is their best player? The answer to that question is Owen Wallace, 25 years old. He actually looks like a really quite good centre-back. I mean, if I'm going to sign players on part-time deals, I was going to say, why not steal them from our league rivals? I'll tell you why not, because Owen doesn't want to join me. Look at that death stare he's got, by the way. He looks like he wants to murder us. Worth noting that McAvoy and Gillen are in the Media Dream 11 in the striking position. The two sideways-facing Irish strikers. So at least we have that going for us. If you were wondering with the season ticking over, could I now sign players on those proper full-time deals? No, but I already knew that. We have to get promoted, I think, for this to change. Well, what do we have here? James Mace is available to sign. James, do you want to come back? Do you really want to come back? £240 a week? How about no? I believe in real life the club he's moved to in Staines don't even exist anymore. I think there was some dodgy money laundering stuff going on. So yeah, not even a club that's real anymore. He's signed for them. He's realised the error of his ways. It's too late. Now, I've not actually sorted out pre-season friendlies yet. It used to be the case that setting up pre-season tournaments was a really good way to generate money. Football Manager have rebalanced that in recent years. But nevertheless, there are some not insignificant teams here that we can arrange kind of friendlies with. You can see if we organise a game with Chesterfield, we make about, what, £1,500? So even once you've factored in stuff like appearance fees for players, probably still do make a little bit of profit off those kind of pre-season games. Look at all these friendlies we've organised. We are earning the big bucks, kind of. It's really not as good as it used to be, pre-season friendlies for making money. I've been invited to enter a team into the EFL Young Alliance League. It's an under-18s league. Do we even have an under-18s squad? We don't. We have an under-21s. You know what? We'll enter it anyway. Why not? It is looking like a genius move to get Jake Cartwright to pre-agree to that new deal at the end of the year. It's a 2-year extension, or rather a 3-year extension to 2027. But also, I can trigger a further 2-year extension, which means now he's contracted till 2029. I mean, we might lose a load of our other players in the upcoming years, but we've got him forever. And That is something to be happy about. Jordan Wilson, it doesn't feel himself at the minute. He feels he should be starting more games. His contract is up in a week. Can we just release him? £85. No, he can leave on a free in 6 days' time. Wait, so an under-18s division has been drawn. Does this mean we do now have an under-18s? We do! Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I thought all the under-21s were just going to be playing in the under-18s tournament. I guess it makes more sense just to make a new team. Have just put all our youth players in the under-18s. There's 2 of them. Yeah, we're running on a shoestring budget at the moment. I really thought that the new 4-3-3 was going to offer us more defensively. We've just lost to Chesterfield 6-3. I mean, to be fair, they are a League 2 team predicted to finish 14th, so 6-3 is actually kind of respectable. Wilson again wants to discuss the number of games he's playing. Mate, your contract is literally up in 2 days. I'll pay you £30 to go away. I'd call that a roaring success. Imagine if you could just pay £30 to get rid of all your problems. The world would be much better. Okay, it's the 1st of July in game. Season ticket sales are starting to come through, which has seen our bank balance jump up to £76,000. We've got Colchester in a few days. We don't care about that. Also, I have sacked my loan manager. But what we're here for is some loan centre-back options. And immediately, I can confirm there are more options here now. I've got to remind myself, my scouting package is set to the UK and Ireland. I've already used half the scouting budget for the year by having this package, so I do need to remember to reduce this before the end of the month. In terms of what we're going to do now, between now and the end of the episode, I think my absolute priority is a defensive mid and a centre-back in on loan. All the squad players I'll go and do off camera, so that next episode we can come back and get into the situation where we still need 10 points from our first 5 games. I think of all the loan options out there, Finlay Coman might be the best one from Newport County. 18 years old. He does not look bad at all. He was already on my radar a little bit. Compared to Liam Francis, a little bit quicker, which I think will complement, of course, Cartwright at the back. If I make an offer to loan him, I don't have to pay any of his wages, and I can loan him till the end of the year. So I feel like at least as an initial option, he's probably the best we're going to find. And the next thing I need is a defensive midfielder. Oldham of League 2 have a couple of players here. There's also Murphy Bennett playing for Forest Green. Who is the best of the bunch when it comes to these guys? I mean, so far, I'm very uninspired by what I'm seeing, to the point where I'm wondering, is this even the best approach? Am I not better off just going out and signing someone on a non-contract deal? Of the more defensive midfielders I've got scouted, Cameron Healy pops up here. He is formerly of Mansfield Town. He's not played a game of football in 5 years. He's now 25 years old. He's actually got really good determination and really good leadership, which might be quite nice to have. Super consistent, loves important matches. How does he compare to Harvey Green, who's that player we picked up already on a pay-as-you-go deal? He's definitely a better option, and he can play defensive mid and centre mid. He only wants to be a fringe player. I'm going to make him an impact sub. What kind of money does he want? He wants £180. Can you do 130? And if you're an unused sub, I'll pay you a little bit more. Please do 130. Please, Cameron, you've not played football in 5 years. 140, Cameron. 140. Is that a good deal? I mean, he's not a young player by any means. He's a player who I already had scouted. I love his good determination and his good leadership. He's actually a really, really well-rounded player too. I feel like he could be a pretty good centre mid option. The risk is, obviously, we could just lose him at any point. Okay, good news. Newport County have accepted the offer for Finlay Coleman, the centre-back. He could be a really good player to pick up. We will scout him as well. I would like to check his pros and cons before I confirm that deal. I do feel like today has been a very scuffed transfer special. Naturally, with the whole job at risk thing, the multiple board meetings, the ability to no longer sign players on permanent deals, it's kind of torn up all the plans. I've just been doing it live. I hope that my slow descent into madness has been enjoyable, if nothing else. I was just looking through players being offered to me by their agents. Transfer, offer trial, in you come, lads. Been a while since I've done this. This is going to be what my preseason consists of after we hopefully sign the centre-back and defensive mid ahead of next episode. Trialling a load of players, signing the ones who maybe look good. Few of them have snubbed me. I'm going to take some offence to that. Nicky Maynard doesn't want to come on trial. Never mind. Well, we might need a new striking option. Jackson Davis, injured 3 to 4 months. 3 to 4. This preseason couldn't have got off to a worse start, and I say start, we're in the middle of it now. Finley Coleman, according to my scouts, is a player who will be very interested in joining us, slightly concerned about his injury proneness, but if we can sign him on loan for nothing, he'd be a very good pickup. So hopefully he chooses to come to us. No one else has made a bid for him yet. And there's a few teams in the National South who want him, so if he joins us, it could be massive. And just like that, he agrees to come to us. Me and Finley, we're going to get on like a house on fire. He is going to join us as a starting centre-back option. I like the look of him a lot. I don't like to use loans at these lower levels, but given the situation we find ourselves in, I think it's going to be necessary. And you know what? To cap off today's episode, Cameron Healy wants to join us. Been lots of negative stuff happen during today's episode. 2 big signings that address the 2 big issues to end the video. Things we love to see. I feel slightly happier now. Today has been a really, really weird video. It's been a longer video as well, so prayers to editing Jack out there who has to make this into some kind of cohesive video. I hope you guys have enjoyed the longer one. If you are a new viewer to the channel, you do get these longer transfer specials towards the end of seasons. During the lower levels, they do tend to be a bit more chaotic and a bit weird because you're looking through a lot more players and there's a lot more stuff that's to be chopped and edited out. But nevertheless, hopefully you've enjoyed what you've watched today. Tomorrow, I'll be coming back for the start of the season where I will do a rundown of hopefully a load of new players that have joined us. I really hope that's the case. Next time out, we're coming back for the first 5 games of the league season. I think we'll do 3 one video to the next, depending on how they go. Of course, just as a reminder, I need 10 points from them. Tomorrow's video is really rather important. Hopefully you guys are excited for that video. I will be coming your way tomorrow with transfers, the start of Season 2, and hopefully some good news. That would be nice. Until then, take things easy. Hope your day is calmer than my day's been playing Football Manager. I'll talk to you all in a bit. I'm out.